Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 105 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So I was having a conversation with my husband this last week about feeling kind of anxious about the state of the world. Can anybody else relate? I mean, maybe anxious about the state of politics. He asked me, though, how it affected me personally, like directly. How did the Capitol uprising affect me personally and directly? Well, after thinking about it, I had to admit that it really was only in my mind. I mean, if I had never known about it, it didn't directly affect me, and I wouldn't have felt so anxious. So I talk about having your thoughts and how your thoughts control everything. And I fell into the trap of saying, but it's happening and it's true. Shouldn't we do something? I mean, there were times when I was reading an article and I literally felt my pulse speed up so much that because it bothered me that much. I mean, there's something new every day, a new crisis every day. You see, it doesn't matter what happens in Washington. It doesn't matter what the media decides is the next crisis. It doesn't matter unless you let it. And can you change it? I mean, are you going to do something to change it? If not, then worrying about it isn't going to help. Learning that and just kind of remembering that has been the most refreshing thing for me. I mean, they want you outraged because then you're going to check your phone every 3 minutes to see what the latest drama is or who owned who. You can be using that time to do something good for yourself instead. Your time to spend with your family, maybe doing something that makes you feel good. Your happiness really depends on you finding a way to feel good in spite of the external things going on. Now notice, I didn't say stick your head in the sand. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge we've had kind of a challenging year, but it's being positive in spite of that, finding happiness in spite of that, making continuous progress in spite of that. Well, how in the world do you do that? Well, I'll tell you something I did. Tony Robbins had a free 5-day challenge this last week, and it was spectacular. Now, I literally cried because it felt so good to feel so good. And some people might say, well, that's just frou-frou to say you can be happy in spite of what's going on. But what's the alternative? I mean, to focus on the negative to the point where it drives you crazy? Tony said this, I've heard him say it before. He said, where your focus goes, energy flows. And I'm going to say it again because really think about that. Where focus goes, energy flows. It sounds like a mantra I need to be taken up, and probably most of us do. Dean Grazioso told a story during that training. He said that he went whitewater rafting with his son and his friends and some of the other dads. This was not a trip for the faint of heart. I mean, the area they were rafting in was dangerous. In fact, a couple people had died previously. But they had a guide, and no one had died on his watch. Well, as things go, of course, it had rained quite a bit, so the rapids were wild. And the dads were very concerned, even to the point of rethinking. But the guide took over and he said, boys, get in the raft. Dads, you too. This is what we're going to do. And if you listen, we're going to have the ride of our life and still be safe. He said, I know where all the danger zones are. I know where all the obstacles are. And I'm going to guide you around all of that, not by pointing to where the danger zones are, but by pointing to the path we need to take to avoid them. He knew that if he pointed and focused to the danger areas, that's the direction the boat would take. So he focused only on the path they needed to take. And that's exactly what they did. See, it's the same for our life. I mean, if we focus on where we want to go, then that's where we'll go. So my question for you and myself, by the way, what are we focusing on? Because right now, we're being manipulated into a new crisis every single day, and it can distract us to the point of exhaustion, or we can take back control of our minds and focus on the ways we can improve our lives. how we can create the best, most wildly successful version of us. Focus on empowering you because remember, where focus goes, energy flows. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.